While more folks join us, I'm going to just start with some housekeeping. First off, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. The structure of this event will first be introductions. We will play a book trailer and then a talk with Dr. Barbara Koltuska Haskin, and lastly, we'll have time to take questions and comments. If you have any technical difficulties, feel free to type in your concern in the chat box. I'll assist you there. To ask a question or to make a comment, please feel free to raise your hand to be unmuted, or you can type it in the chat box or Q&A box, and we will address them at the appropriate time. Dr. Barbara Koltuska Haskin is a clinical neuropsychologist in private practice in Albuquerque, New Mexico. She's had over 30 years of clinical experience. She also has a research and academic teaching background. In addition to her doctorate in psychology, neuropsychology, she has a Master of Science degree in clinical psychology and Bachelor of Education degree, valedictorian. She also completed 450 hours of academic coursework in psychopharmacology, sponsored by the Southwestern Institute for the Advancement of Psychotherapy, New Mexico State University Collaborative. She is also classically trained mezzo-soprano. Dr. Koltuska Haskin was born and raised in Warsaw, Poland. In 1989, she was awarded the American Association of University Women International Fellowship, given to 1 out of 30 international applicants. She spent her fellowship year at UCLA's postdoctoral training program in neuropsychology. She later received her US citizenship as an alien of exceptional abilities on the basis of her educational, research, and clinical achievements. After her fellowship, she worked for many years as a neuropsychologist at the New Mexico State Hospital in Las Vegas, New Mexico. Because she was the only neuropsychologist for the entire San Miguel and Mora County area, she was exposed to many types and stages of brain trauma, chronic mental illness, and addiction. It was challenging work, but an extensive and meaningful experience. She continued working for the state of New Mexico in Albuquerque and was later a clinical director for a local nonprofit organization. Since 2003, she has been working full-time in her private practice, providing comprehensive and compassionate care for her New Mexico patients. She loves New Mexico for its sunshine, beautiful nature, and hospitality of the people. She always feels that she is a New Mexican in her heart. She loves walking New Mexico's trails, and the climate of the high desert cultivates her passion for organic gardening. Dr. Barbara Koltuska Haskin's book, How My Brain Works, A Guide to Understanding It Better and Keeping It Healthy, has so far received 2 international book awards. It was a finalist in the International Book Awards contest in June 2021, and recently was awarded a silver medal in Reader's Favorite International Book Awards. Now I'm going to play this trailer for the book.
There was a guy who had a brain trauma as a result of a car accident, and he actually came to me on crutches. And he was really depressed, and he lost his job, lost his income, lost his girlfriend. And we did the evaluation, and I explained to him that yes, he did have a brain trauma, but most part of his brain is still working pretty well. And I told him how he needs to help himself. A year later, and the young man comes to my office, he's all smiling, he's walking really, wonderful. And he says, "Hi, Dr. Koltuska, do you remember me?" And he told me his name, and I'm like, wow, what's the transformation? that was a totally different person. My name is Dr. Barbara Koltuska Haskin, and I am a neuropsychologist, and I have over 30 years of clinical experience. I also have research and academic teaching background, and I am also a classically trained mezzo-soprano because I believe that music goes very well together with brain sciences. I wrote a book, How My Brain Works, a guide to understanding it better and keeping it healthy. The purpose of my book is to explain how neuropsychological evaluation can help you understand how your brain is working in order for you to reach your full potential. So I always talk to my patients about a healthy lifestyle that includes healthy eating, exercising, mindfulness, gratitude, and getting enough sleep. Your brain doesn't work in isolation. The better your body is, the better your brain is functioning. As long as you are breathing, there is more right with you than wrong with you. I made it a motto for my book because I truly believe in that. My intention was for this book to give you a knowledge about how you can improve your everyday functioning, reach your life goals, and overcome cognitive problems such as memory, attention, verbal problems, etc. I hope that this book will also help you understand how emotional problems such as depression, anxiety, mood problems affect your cognition and what you can do to help yourself. I just have a great hope that How My Brain Works book will inspire you to take the first step on the road to a healthy, fulfilling, and successful life.
How My Brain Works is available now online and at your local bookstore.
Thank you, Jessica. It's my turn right now.
Yes, your camera is perfect. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, but I only see you and me. So I don't see the gallery.
No, you won't see them during this program.
Oh, I won't. Okay.
No. Yeah. Everyone, please welcome Dr. Barbara Koltuska Haskin and How My Brain Works, a guide to understanding it better and keeping it healthy. Thank you, Barbara.
Okay, thank you very much, Jessica. First of all, thank you for having me here. And thank you for Mari Angelou for assisting in that event. And it's very strange, I don't see the gallery, but I will just try to adjust because I usually like to speak to people. So I'm speaking to myself, but it's okay. I will try. Okay, so I wrote this book, first of all, to let people some ideas what neuropsychology is and it can be helpful. So, because people and a lot of professionals don't really know what we are doing, and I wanted to explain how the brain can be evaluated. So I am a brain functioning specialist. So we evaluate brain and figure out what is working, what is not working. So my purpose was actually to let people know that if they do have some kind of problems, brain problems, then this is not the end of their world. It's not the end of the world. The problems can be assessed and we can figure out what is working and how if it's working on a average range, if some of your brain functions are average, some are above average, and some are below average, and figure out what we can do about it. So if we know where the problem is, we can always figure out what to do about it. But we need to first know where the problem is. So the book is for everybody who wants to know about brain functioning. And also, it's first of all, it's written in a very simple language. It's for general population, not for professionals. And basically, I wrote it for my patients and their families and general population, because I wanted to let people know that the service is available and there is a help if you have a problem. So if you think you have a cognitive problems, or you already do have a cognitive problems, then it's a good idea to find a neuropsychologist that is contracted with your insurance, because the services are these services are considered a medical benefit. So all insurance are paying for that, including Medicaid and Medicare. So find somebody that is contracted with insurance in a community and try to get this evaluation, because it will give you actually an idea where you are, if you actually have a problems or you just think to have a problems. Because as I am emphasizing in that book, is that memory complaints are not necessarily memory problems. You may think you have memory problems, but you may have problems with attention, concentration, executive functioning. You may have problems with the medical. A lot of medical problems is affecting people's ability to remember. Thyroid problems for one, and there are problems when women go to menopause, that estrogen drops and they do feel like they are losing their mind, but that's not necessarily the case. And I am I also have a case of menopause and memory in that book. So we will figure out what actually the problem is. Because your emotional problems, if you are in a lot of stress and can't sleep and have depression, anxiety, obviously that will affect your brain function. There's no doubt about it. So memory complaints are not necessarily memory problems. Also, if you have attention concentration problems, it's not necessarily ADHD, because your attention concentration problems may be because of your emotional problems. Also, with executive functions, I'm always teaching people not all attention concentration problems are ADHD. So we can figure out what is going on. And a lot of problems with executive functioning is also affecting how your brain works. And very frequently, people come to me and started talking about problems, and I am asking them if they ever had a brain trauma. And because the brain trauma was very long time ago, then they frequently they like, and they said, yes, I had a car accident when I was 17, or I fell off of the porch when I was 7, or they had multiple brain traumas, but they recovered really well from that and didn't think about it until the problem starts when either we are getting older, or the people who are promoted to a much more in a position that requires to do more tasks in a shorter period of time, and then they have problems completing job duties and think that something is going on. If they are in their 50s, they start thinking, okay, I'm having dementia. No, not necessarily. So a lot of people come to me say, so I have a dementia in a family, and maybe this is something, so I have to calm them down first before I'm going to do anything else, because I don't want people, I want to have people to have a positive experience when they are working with me. I don't want them to be stressed and worrying about it. It's just, I want them to think about it like we are trying to figure out a road map for your brain. Where is the good road and where is the detour? So we're just trying to figure out what doesn't work. So it's good to know how your brain works, because most of the people, majority of people, don't really know what their level of functioning is. And very frequently, they when come to me, they find out that, their nonverbal abilities are really good, and their working memory may be superior. So it's like, okay, but the other functions may not be that great. So we will be figuring out what works, what doesn't, and trying to figure out what can be done about it. So what I wanted for people is to let they do have problems, cognitive problems, or they have close relatives, like parents or siblings with dementia, or close friends that are having dementia. So they were like, a year ago, they were driving a car, and right now they cannot recognize anybody. They don't need to have a sleepless nights thinking what's going to happen with me, if I'm going to end up like Uncle Joe, I'm going to end up like Mother. Not necessarily, because we know right now that although you may have a gene for dementia, you may not necessarily end up with dementia, because we still don't know what turns off and on genes. So the best is just to enjoy life and take care of yourself, because that's the most important thing for us, to be able to take care for ourselves to the rest of our life and not be a burden to anybody. So it's my goal and everybody else's goal, I hope, in life, or be in a kind of institution. This is not fun. So so what I wanted to say is that if you have a relatives and start experiencing these problems, just try to keep yourself calm and make an appointment with your psychologist, and we'll figure out if the problems are there, or it's just your anxiety that is affecting your emotionality so much that it's difficult for you to function. Because when anxiety goes up, performance goes down, always. So a little bit of anxiety is okay, but if it's a lot of anxiety, you won't be able to sleep, you won't be able to perform tasks well, you won't be able to concentrate. So that's not a way to live, because you only have one life. So just let's get evaluated. And sometimes people tell me, I'm not sure I really want to know. And I said, yes, you want to know, because what you don't know is going to hurt you. Not what you know, because if we know what the problem is, we can find a solution. So it's good to know how your brain really works. And some people come to me like, I want to have it's a good idea, actually. They say, okay, I have a dementia in a family. I want to get a baseline. So they are in their late 40s or early 50s. I want to get a baseline in case, I have problems later. That's a very good idea, I think, because we can test the patient later against that baseline and figure out what is actually good or bad. But this is only if you have a really close family that has dementia, or you have been in car accident that was really bad, and you think you recover, but not really recover. So even if you think you recovered pretty well, but you start having problems with your work or problems with family functioning, then it's a good idea to get evaluated. So what kind of patients I see? So I see patients with any kind of brain problems. So it can be traumatic brain injury or many concussions that they have on sport-related concussions. I'm getting males that were playing sports, and now many years later, they are having problems with completing work tasks. Because this is accumulates, you've had many concussions, it kind of adds up to how your brain is able to process information. So I see the patients with any kind of brain trauma, a history of brain trauma, with any kind of neurological diseases, any kind of brain problems, and also with cognitive problems. If, I said attention, concentration, executive functioning, processing information. People who get older, they feel like they are processing information slower, which may be a case. But what I tell them, if that is still average, is okay. So enjoy what you have and make sure that you keeping what you have. So for my senior patients, I said, okay, your job is to keep what you have, okay? So, and if you get better, that's bonus, but the problem is just keep what you have. So you are able to function. Okay, so I think I more or less explain what we are doing. And I'm not doing MRI on people. Neuropsychologists don't do MRIs on people. We don't put any electrodes on your head, nothing like that. It's paper and pencil and blocks and puzzles and some computers. We're gonna have that's fun. I just try to just let's do it. It's fun. Let's if you have problems, okay, then we'll figure out what to do about it. Actually, the main one of the main reasons I actually finally, because I'm busy, I have a busy practice, finally sat down to start writing that book that I was writing several years in my head before I actually started writing it on paper, was that very frequent, I'm still having this. I'm having patients that are coming to my office that they heard about this kind of services and or some the community PCP, mostly they know about me here, so they know when to refer. But I also get people from all over New Mexico, some from Colorado and from other states that want to be seen. And so they come to my office, and then, I'm explain what I'm going to be doing and how the brain will be evaluated, and they'll start crying. They cry, they tears come down on the desk, and they say, I didn't know you exist. I didn't know what you can do. And if I would have known that earlier, then I would have been much better right now, which is true. So I said, people really don't know what we are doing, and these services are available. It's not about me, it's about the profession. So that, I want people to know, if you have a problem, don't stress, don't have sleepless night, get help, and help is available. Okay, so I think so that's first part of my book that explains what we do, how we do it, and kind of give you guys ideas, general population, that not what you think may be your problem, and we need to figure out what actually the problem is. Okay, second part of my book is a brain health, because it's about brain health, and I put in a book all the research that is available right now, how to keep your brain going to the last day of your life. Because that's what we all want. We want the brain to be functioning. We want to be able to take care of ourselves. So I always talk to my patients about their lifestyle. So I talk about healthy eating, exercising, mindfulness, gratitude, and getting enough sleep. Because yes, your brain doesn't work in isolation. The healthier your body, the better your brain will be functioning. So I always, once I go over the test results and show patients what is average, above average, below average, and how you can work about your cognitive. I talk about a lifestyle. So eating healthy is very important. And I believe that food is our medicine. Food is our medicine, because what you put in your body, that the body is able to function or not very well. So, I am an organic gardener and I eat mostly out of my garden. And right now I am freezing everything for winter, or my veggies, and doing pickles. That the recipes and all Polish pickles recipes are in that book, and in my book. And prebiotics. It's very simple. It's very simple. I don't do anything that is sophisticated. I don't do any canning. I don't have time for that. It's either freezing on prebiotics or pickles, because they are easy, very easy to do. Okay, so and I also cook. I do all my organic cooking, but I don't do anything sophisticated because I'm a busy lady. So mostly I just use a crock pot, because I put everything there in the morning and I have a food in the evening. And for 2-3 days, if you cook it by yourself, it's still good. So I teach my patients, get a crock pot. If you don't have time, use frozen organic vegetables, because they are already washed and cut. You just open a box and put it, okay? So put some chicken, piece of chicken, whatever, use meat on a bone, because it's healthier for you. Put some piece of chicken, put some frozen vegetables that you like, and some herbs, and you have a delicious meal in no time. Oh, you have to put some water, obviously, or a broth. This everything is in my book. Okay, so eating is very, 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 very important. Okay, the other stuff that is also very, very important is getting enough sleep. And unfortunately, a lot of my seniors are on benzodiazepines for sleep, because they cannot sleep because of anxiety. And we already know that that is linked to early dementia. So with benzodiazepines, not supposed to be used for a long time. They're supposed to be used on acute anxiety. And this information are all in the book, How My Brain Works. So not for a long time, only if you have like trauma, severe trauma, like this in a family or something, and you need to survive that trauma, then that's good. But don't try to. It's not good to have it for months and months and months and years. And unfortunately, I see that happening. So there is a lot of things that you can do to help yourself with anxiety. One is this beautiful, lemon balm. That's lemon balm. Okay, lemon balm is an herb that is used in Europe for sleep and anxiety. It's really very efficient. And what I do when I'm stressed is I do like this. Ah, that smells so good. Do like this, and do like this, and inhale. Sit down, inhale, and just try to get. That's amazing. That's herb is amazing, and you can grow. It grows really well here in New Mexico. Which you can get. It's a perennial, so you can get it at nursery or Lowe's, and it will come back every year. It requires no care, and you can make a tea out of it too. So it's cheap, no expenses, because it grows. So try to, and in my book, I'm also teaching you guys, and I teach my patients about it too, how to do before sleep tea meditations to calm yourself down. This is one of the herbs this is lemon balm, but also for sleep, if you don't have, you need to talk to your doctor always, because you may have medications that interfere. Herbs are natural, but they can interfere with some other medications, so always talk to your doctor. So the other one that will definitely put you in sleep most of the time is valerian root. It just doesn't smell very well, but if you have limited resources, you can buy a root and make your own tea, but your whole house will smell valerian root. I like it, so I don't mind it, but it has intense smell. Okay, so make sure you get enough sleep, and try to do this naturally, because all sleep medications and benzodiazepines frequently used for sleep are to suppress your brain activity. So to put you to sleep. So if you suppress your brain activity for a very long time, what's going to happen? Yeah, that's not something you want to have. You want to have brain that works really well. So have enough sleep. If you have anxiety, if you worry too much, go to therapy, get a counseling. Right now, all the counselors work remote, most of them work remotely. It doesn't matter when you find them, just find them and talk about it. Learn how to deal with your anxiety, because anxiety is best treated in therapy. And also we have a big literature right now that meditation help with anxiety and also ADHD. You need to learn how to meditate. Okay, be mindful and learn how to meditate. And I do this every day. I start my day with that. So you need to learn how to meditate. And when I start teaching my patients meditation, they're like, it's not gonna work. I can't sit still. I can't clear my mind. You can't clear your mind unless you are dead or enlightened. Otherwise, if you sit down and start breathing, and the thoughts will be coming to you, there's no doubt about it. But it's okay. You just continue breathing, and each time you find out that your brain is going somewhere else, bringing back to breathing. So I teach them how to breathe with your abdomen. So not this breathing, but this breathing with abdomen. And just sit down and breathe. Start with 3 minutes, then 5 minutes in a quiet place. I like to do this outside. You don't have to have your eyes closed. You can just breathe and observe everything. And once you sit down outside and start breathing and are calm and not moving, the birds and bees and everybody is considering you part of the nature. So butterflies will fly around you and you can observe them really close, and the same hummingbirds and other birds. If you don't move, they will be all around you, which is a beautiful experience just to watch them that close and enjoy that. So we have healthy eating. We have to get enough sleep. We have to. I always encourage people to meditating is very important, because you have to make time for yourself. You have to make time for yourself. You have to make time for your life, because if you do not take care of yourself, who will? So take time for your life, sit down, make this a habit at the morning or at the evening, or maybe optimally it will be like if you have 20 minutes at the morning and 20 minutes at the evening will be enough. But if you just have 10 minutes or 5 minutes, hello, use it. So the other important thing is to be grateful and practice gratitude, because I'm not a Buddhist, but the Buddha said that you can't be happy if you are not grateful. And I think it's pretty good statement. So it's important to be grateful for what we have, because we have a lot here. We live in a country that we have plenty of everything, and not everybody, most of the world doesn't have it. So I teach my patients, be grateful that you woke up. First of all, you woke up, and you woke up in your own bed with your own sheets, and you're going to have breakfast. Because be grateful for that, because a lot of people in the world don't have that luxury. So the other important, very important thing actually for keeping our brain going is exercising and walking. It's actually aerobic exercise. So what came in my research when I was preparing, when I was writing this book, is that they did a research at one of the universities that if people walk 30 minutes every day or 40 minutes 3 times a week, their hippocamp grows. It was like, wow. Hippocamp is this little part in our brain that is responsible for short-term memory functioning. And find out that grows, I was like, wow, that's the best news, because everybody can, most of us can walk, I mean, and we don't have to spend money to buy a specific equipment. You know, we can just go outside and walk. I don't like to walk on a machine, so I like to walk outside because I can see the beauty all around me, because we live in such a beautiful state. I mean, the sun is there, the sky is blue. It's just very, very beautiful. So walking is very important, because so far we know that is the best Alzheimer's prevention. Because when you walk, when you do exercises, because walking is actually an aerobic and balance exercise. So when you walk, you pump up these endorphins, and it's very good for your brain. And also, I found a research. I am a contributor for Psychology Today. Once they got that book, they invited me to do some posts for them. So I did one post about kindness, and I found out that kindness is actually good for your brain. They did the research on that. Okay, so it's almost, I'm talking for almost 40 minutes, so I want to take some questions at this point. Jessica?
Sorry, I've been having
No problem.
issues on my end, but I'm glad you're not.
All right.
Oh, there we go. Okay, I'm back. So if anyone has any questions or comments, feel free to raise your hand. We can unmute you, or you can type it in the chat box or the Q&A. Nat has written in our Q&A box. Nat says, one of the most valuable things about having a full and robust neuropsychological evaluation testing is to recognize the hierarchy of our strengths and our areas of less strength, so we can implement strategies for the most successful functioning. And he's right, so obviously I'm a fan. Thank you, Nat.
Okay, so this is, thank you, Nat, for saying that. And that is true. So we have 12 chats. So let's find out what these 12 chats are.
Most of them is us just talking back and forth. Mari says, thank you. Well, I have some questions about how many patients do you see at a time?
At a time, only one.
Right, yeah.
So no, it's not a fast process. I see patients at least on several appointments, because on one appointment I can't see everything, especially if there is an involvement of a mood disorder. It's very important to see people at least 2-3 times, because on one appointment they may be very depressed, and the other they may be okay, or they may be manic state, and I need to figure out how that is affecting their functioning. So I don't see them. I'm not that one that sees patients and do everything in one appointment, because that doesn't work for me. But sometimes it's necessary, like if people had to do this as a pre-op, that's, you know, as a preoperative procedure. But usually, you know, it takes time for me. It's good actually for me, because I see them especially with seniors, they're having a beginning of dementia. Sometimes it's going really slowly, sometimes going very fast. So I see them functioning, and then I see them naturally functioning.
Paula asks, it's along the same lines, but it sounds like it may vary. How long does the assessment take?
Oh, it takes several hours. So the first one is actually not long, because the first one I'm just gathering the first appointment is just for me to gather clinical information. So, but I am very comprehensive. So I ask a lot of questions because I need to know about your mother pregnancy and delivery, and because if you are a blue baby, for instance, because if you are a blue baby, you may have some problems later, but not necessarily. So I ask about pregnancy and delivery for the patient, and early development. And so I always, if the patient has a mother, I want to talk to the mother. If it's an senior, I want to talk to wife, because I want to get a second opinion. So what the patient thinks about the families, or what the mother thinks, what the kids think. I mean, the adult or child thinks the problem is. So this is very comprehensive. So it can take any time from like 1 hour and a half to 2 hours. And then right now it's a little bit different than normal because we have COVID. So it kind of different, but it's not 15 minutes appointment. And my secretary knows that she needs to tell this to people.
Is there ever the instance where a patient just doesn't know where their brain trauma might come from? And are you still able to help them if they can't find the reasoning?
Absolutely, because we not always know why, but we know what is going on now. Okay? We may not know why, because it may be, I said, the patient may be born with hypoxia, which is lower oxygen. They didn't have a problem until much later. But they usually start having learning disabilities if that's the case. Or they was a head injury they don't even remember they had. Or they have neurological problems. I had a patient, and I actually have this in a book, that came to me with the diagnosis of dementia. And I start working with the patient, said, no, that's not dementia. You have some medical issues going on. So let's figure out what the medical issues are first, and then we figure out what is going on. It was not a happy ending, because they kept him as a dementia for a long time and didn't even check what actually was the medical problems they were causing this kind of issue. So in neurology, your brain is very complex. It's just like your body. So we in most problems with brain, we not always are able to say, okay, that was here, that's what was happening now, but we can think what may have happened. And I frequently, if I start working, so I do the clinical interview and the patient says, never had a brain trauma. And I start working with them and I see that there was a brain trauma. So I said, could you please talk to your mom? If they are like in their 30s, 40s, if there was any brain trauma when you were a child. And yes, they sometimes, it's also in my book, this guy didn't know. I told him, go to and see your mom, talk to your mom. And they did have a brain trauma, but I see the pattern. I'm very comprehensive. I don't do one test and say, oh, this is this or that, because that doesn't work this way. So yes, I can actually say that, but not always. But not all the time, because I'm not God. I don't know everything. But what I definitely can do is to figure out what works, what doesn't, and what to do about it. And if you have a problem, if this is the problem is still average for your age, because for instance, you had 124 verbal skills, and now you have 112. So you see the difference, okay? You see the difference, it dropped, but it's still in a high average range. So I said, try to keep what you have, okay? And you can do always some stimulation. So I can say what works average, on the average level for your age, what is above average, what is below average, and how much below average and what to do about it. So then this kind of knowledge is very, very powerful because it kind of liberates people from their fears.
So fascinating. Thank you.
Yeah, it is fascinating.
Someone says, how do you handle giving bad news to your patients?
Okay, that is difficult. So usually I ask patients if I see that maybe a dementia, I ask patients and a family, the family especially, if they want me to tell the patient. Because the family, the husband or the children have to live with that patient. Okay? And sometimes when they get this diagnosis, it's depression, it's anger, it's outbursts and whatever. So they know their family. So I talk to them too. And and I tell patients, but I tell it very nicely because I don't want to scare them. So it's difficult. It is very difficult. And sometimes, as I said, it's also in my book, I have like 12 people in my office. That's the patient siblings, the patient kids, the patient grandchildren. Everybody is crying and it's difficult. But I take time to explain everything, which not always is the case because primary care not always have time to do. So I'm explaining what is going on and how the patient can be helped.
A different Barbara asks, how do you feel about antidepressants that are so widely prescribed today?
Okay, so if they are needed, they are needed. So if medication are needed. So, but I always, when I see depression, the first thing I send people to therapy, unless there is a very severe depression, like I get a patient that's crying for an hour of interview and I'm like, okay, I have to calm them down to actually gather the data because they cry and cry. That happens. So that's not a time for therapy. We need to stabilize them a little bit so the therapy works because they have to be able to concentrate and cooperate with the therapist to get some improvement. They have to be a participant in therapy because therapy is not that you talk about. Therapy is working toward goals. So you have to be able to follow that. Therapy happens when you work on your goals after therapy hours, not when you go and talk about it. Sometimes people say, oh, I ask, what do you work in therapy? Oh, we just talk. Oh, no, you can just talk with your Aunt Mary on her birthday. You need to know what your goals, objectives, and time frame is for your therapy. So I always send people first to therapy unless I see that there is a very severe depression or severe mood problems and agitation. I cannot work with them if they cannot sit and cooperate with me and follow my directions. So they have to be able to cooperate with me, and if they don't, that's okay. I don't test anybody against their will. They have to be coming to me and being willing to participate. And unfortunately, in advanced dementia, that's the case because they already have frequently problems with judgment and insight. So they like, I don't have any problems. That's my wife that has problems. So my husband has a problem. I don't have any problems. So that's okay. I said, it's no problem. So I always educate primary care physicians. Send them to me first. Send them to me. If you don't think that they have an acute brain trauma, like you think that the tumor is going on, they had stroke or something like that, just come to them and to you and say, oh, I don't know what's going wrong with me. I can't complete tasks. I am having problems at work. Just send them to me because at that point, I can evaluate them and help them. Once the dementia is advanced, then it's not much we can do because they are unable to cooperate. And they have anger sabros and they cast and they are just all over. So it's difficult to work with them. So yes, answering your questions directly, antidepressants are needed when they are needed, but let's try, as always said, try therapy, because this guy, Dr. John Kabat-Zinn thinks that depression is a disorder of thoughts, disorder of thinking. I think most of the time it may be true. So you need to learn how to cope, because life is difficult. So you have to concentrate on what is good and problem solve what is not that good. Just coping. I hope it answers your question.
I think so. Thank you. Mari asks, what have you most enjoyed about releasing your book?
Oh my goodness, that's so wonderful. That the feedback is so great. I mean, like, I released this little, bird, and I am getting such a lot of wonderful feedback. There's 2 international awards. I never even thought that, because I've never written a book before. So, and I was like, oh wow, that's great, because it's international. Okay, so, and I get a lot of wonderful reviews from people, from readers, people I never knew and I will never know, and they like, okay, that is so good. Then it helped me. So it was the one that I just got and I put on my website because it was so beautiful. So the most important, so nice and so beautiful. So the most important, I think, people are able to see that I want it to be on a positive side. I want this book I want to inspire people. I don't want to scare them. I want to inspire them to start taking care of your brain. So this is, so it's on a positive side, on uplifting side, on sunny side of the street. So I want to just inspire and encourage people to start taking care of the brain. So people see that. And just the readers see that. And one said that it was most positive book about brain that she ever read. So I said, okay.
I love it. I also love that you include things like recipes, and to get a crock pot. It's just such like kind of advice, but we don't always take it, and that's so smart. I love it.
I have a lot of other drugs. This is good. This is actually eatable flour, very healthy. This is another eatable flour that is very healthy. And this is another that is very healthy. So we have plenty of food. It's in our backyard. That is porcelain, that is weed. It has a huge amount of omega-3 fatty acids. It's free. Yeah.
Thank you so much. If anyone has any other questions or comments, feel free to raise your hand or write it out in one of the chat boxes. I just want to thank you a million times, Barbara, for providing this program for our community. It's been really fascinating. I think that I should probably get my brain examined. I'm excited to learn more about myself, and maybe through services like yours. Nat has raised their hand. I'm going to unmute you. You are able to unmute.
Hi, the most famous question of Zoom. Can you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Thank you. My experience was having several traumatic brain injuries and being able to identify the hierarchy of my deficits to be the highest area of loss was executive functioning, then memory, and then attention. And then I had another head injury. And I started really struggling with that. And I had a full neuropsych evaluation prior to that identified that hierarchy. And I began struggling and struggling and struggling. And I went to Dr. Koltuska Haskin, and she did a new neuropsych evaluation of me. And it identified something really, really important, because my neurologist had said, you might be developing dementia, which is common in people who've had head injuries. And when Dr. Koltuska Haskin did my neuropsych, she identified that the hierarchy had just shifted. And my top area of loss was memory, and then executive functioning, and then attention. So of course I thought I was losing my mind, because I thought as I applied the same strategies in the same way, that I would achieve the same success. And it required the identification of the shift through the neuropsych testing. And then my job was to apply the strategies in a different order. And that to me was one of the most valuable things that I could utilize in achieving my own recovery. So there are two things I want to say is, look at what's going on and identify it with the assistance of a professional such as Dr. Koltuska Haskin. And also, really, really important, denial is a vigorous lever. Don't go there, because if we just keep denying that we're struggling and don't identify why and how we're struggling, we can't begin to apply the strategies with which to be more successful. So I want to thank the doctor for being part of my success and for helping people that now I help be more successful in achieving good outcomes for themselves. Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you. You made my day. But that's what I do. I want to empower people. I want to make sure that what we are doing is during neuropsych, that when they get my report, it's not going to go to the draw and forgot about it, that they are going to start using that strategies that we talk about in everyday life and getting better, that they are following my recommendations because they can get better.
Thank you, Nat. And thank you again, Dr. Everyone, you can find a copy of How My Brain Works, a guide to understanding it better and keeping it healthy from many online vendors, as well as your local bookstores.
It's in our Amazon. We just click and it's there.
Yeah. Be sure to check out more of Santa Fe Public Library's upcoming virtual events. Everyone stay safe, read books, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much for having me, Jessica, and for having this event. I'm really grateful. Thank you, everybody that is attending. I can't see you, but I wish you well and just enjoy life. Enjoy life. Thanks.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.